Welcome to this week's Forex Forecast. I am FX Telepath, and we will begin with the US dollar index here. Looking at the COT report for the DXY, the past week the banks added 293 longs, and they also added 186 short positions. We will do a top-down approach here, starting with the weekly chart here. You can see we had not only one but two reactions off of this weekly demand now, and now we pushed up, but we couldn't really, break above this peak here. But in my opinion, the dollar is looking strong, and we're going to take a look at some of the lower time frames. First, we're going to look at a daily chart here first. If you can see, we almost pushed down to this daily demand. There's still some space in between. We pretty much call it tested and say, demand did take control here, and that's why we are seeing that push up. Now, the past day, Friday, was a red day for the DXY, so that's why we have seen the dollar turn around. But if you look at the 4-hour chart, I noticed something here, and I wanted to point it out to you guys. If you look at a 4-hour chart here, we had a beautiful reaction off of this 4-hour demand zone that I actually pointed out for the diamond members to the upside like that. And what I noticed, and that's very important, is yes, we had a pretty red day in the DXY on this past day here, leaving us with supply above. But with that being said, there is so much demand below that even if we do, continue to push down, maybe break through this demand, we have demand here and demand down here. So there's a lot of demand here to really hold up price. So even if, maybe we end up dropping, expect, a hard time to kind of get through there if we do. And, if we also break above this 4-hour supply like this, leaving us with new 4-hour demand, that would be your potential long trade on the DXY or US dollar pair. So I am pretty bullish on the DXY. Yes, we did get a pretty red day, but overall, the momentum is clearly up here. We have demand zones being respected and formed. So in my opinion, I think the DXY is, most likely headed higher. Although, like I said, we could actually pull back all the way down to daily demand at 1.789 and then rally back up again from there. So we'll be monitoring what happens around this 4-hour chart on the DXY. All right, looking at the Euro US dollar, the past week the banks got rid of 5,422 longs, and they also got rid of 5,800 short positions. Now looking at the weekly chart here, weekly demand did take in control here. We do have some sort of selling in control up here right now though. So, we could see the euro continue to move down just looking at the weekly chart. Not only that, looking at a daily chart, we broke this daily supply. I was surprised. I was looking for potential shorts coming off that supply, but not everything always works out, and we actually pierced right through, which broke demand and left us with new supply. On the daily chart, we are reacting off that supply right now. So supply and control, I think looking for shorts all the way is definitely the best thing to do. If you look at a 4-hour chart here, something interesting has taken place. We have supply and demand here. This is a demand zone that I also pointed out for members. Not really a great zone, not a zone. It's very, very large. You would have to look for confirmation. But anyways, we have tested demand, almost tested supply here. So I would be personally looking for is either this, either a push up to this supply at 1.098, and then we can look for potential shorts coming off of that supply like that. Or if maybe we don't pull back to the supply, we pull back down to this demand and we break that demand. If we have new supply here, that would be your potential short trade off of that 4-hour supply if we can get that. And why do we need to wait for this demand to be removed? Well, if you look, we had two reactions off this demand. So clearly this has been proven to be demand. So if we can remove that demand, that's a great sign. And then at that point, any sort of supply zone that we are left with would be our potential trade coming off of that supply. So I will have that supply zone on my charts throughout the week if we do get that zone. If not, like I said, the 4-hour supply above could also be good for shorts as well. Alright guys, on to the forecast for gold, XAUUSD. The past week the banks got rid of 8,427 longs, and they also added 2,638 shorts. Now if you guys been following my forecast for a few months now, it depends on how long you've been watching me for. I've been talking about this weekly demand at 1870 for quite a while now, and I've been very, very patient on gold. A lot of sideways price action here, but I have been waiting for the breakout to the downside to look for longs in this demand. And who knows, yes, gold could break down, but I'm going to stack, I think it's stacking the odds in my favor if we continue to look for longs in this area. So if we can hit this demand zone, that's where I am looking for longs on gold. Now, will I just be buying gold? No. What I'll be doing is looking for confirmation, just like I did off of this previous zone back here where I circled the zone. So if you look, I will show you guys a previous trade of mine. Basically price pull back into demand. We reacted. I'll show you the higher time frame first. So this is my higher time frame, the weekly chart. We had supply zone control right here, pushed down, pulled back into my weekly demand. You guys can go back to I don't know when this was, April, and you can, I'll point it out. I've been pointing out this weekly demand zone for quite a while now. So price came down, hit my weekly demand zone, and I was looking for confirmation longs. Now, if you don't know what confirmation is, let me show you guys right here. A little bit of an old trade review of mine. So if you look down here, this is the trade. If you look here, this was that big weekly demand zone right here, and then price came down, hit the weekly demand zone, rallied up, created demand right here. So I'm actually going to get rid of everything to kind of clean it up. So we created this 4-hour demand zone right here, and I simply place an order here with a stop loss here and take profit all the way up there, and look at the trade. Boom. That was my 4-hour confirmation trade long coming off of weekly demand, and my take profit was hit all the way up here, I believe, something like that. It was a massive trade for me on gold, and why I'm showing you this is because that is exactly what I'm going to be trying to do again at this weekly demand. And if it fails, oh well, but I will definitely be looking for longs in this area if we can get down to there, and I'll be trying to do the exact same thing that I did at that weekly demand zone. And if you guys want to learn more about how to take trade setups like that and be alerted when I point out the 4-hour zone that we could potentially be using to trade, check out the Diamond membership. Links in the description down below. You can see on the screen right now on my Instagram. These are a bunch of trades from the daily member breakdown video. It's a video that I do daily before the London session to show you guys all the important supply and demand zones, as well as Sunday Zoom sessions, strategy sessions, and something I just added is video lessons A to Z as well, so you guys can learn more about supply and demand and build your own strategy. Because yeah, maybe you do look for confirmation in here, but maybe you take something from my tips videos and maybe you do something a little bit different, which makes you hold on to the trade a little bit longer or something like that, right? So that is the reason I designed the A to Z video lessons as well as the daily market breakdown videos in the Diamond membership. So check it out. Links in the description down below. I'll be happy to see you guys join the team, and we also have lifetime access as well if you do not want to pay that monthly fee, which I totally understand. So links in the description down below to everything. So as far as gold goes now, I'm just waiting for that weekly demand to be hit. If you want, we do have this 4-hour supply zone all the way up here. I know it's a large move away, guys. We have that supply zone here. That's really the only good supply zone I see. Yes, we have some supply here. Could see a small move off of that. But I think the best supply zone to potentially look for a short is 1949. So if we rally up and don't pull back to 1870, then this is the 4-hour supply I would look to potentially short to then pull back down to that weekly demand on gold. Alright guys, on to the forecast for the USDJPY. The past week the banks added almost 11,000 longs, and they also added 5,700 shorts. If you look at a weekly chart, we are so close to weekly supply here at 146.6, but there still is a little bit of room here to continue to look for longs. And I actually took a long trade on USDJPY. Let me break that down for you guys here. So we had a daily uptrend. Daily supply was pretty far away. We had 4-hour demand created right here, and then basically, I looked for a 1-hour zone inside of that 4-hour zone, and I came up with this zone here. A little bit of a weird zone, not one I would usually take, but I took it, and you know, the trade went very well. I was stopped out for a profit right around here. I was actually being paid to hold this position as well as swap fees. So very happy with the trade. That was my little trend trade there. So hopefully you guys can take something from that and try to mimic similar trades to that. So as far as the USD goes now, looking at this 1-hour chart, we want to continue to look for longs, but the problem is the trend on the 1-hour chart has been broken. We pushed up, kind of started to break down, broke this upward trend line right here, and now we are kind of just in this demand zone, and we could kind of just go sideways, kind of ping pong between the two zones for a bit. We could definitely break down for sure, but what I'm going to be looking for is either a break above all that or breaking this supply. And if we're left with new demand here, that would be your potential trading setup. And shorting the yen has shown a lot of great setups, guys. There's actually a lot of good setups and a lot of the other cross pairs for the yen pairs as well. So those will be going over those in the Sunday members live stream as well. All of the cross pairs for the yen. So looking for long still here in the Japanese yen. We just want to wait for this supply zone to be removed and the trend to continue up. And if we continue to go down, that's okay as well, because if we do, we will just continue to look for demand zone buys along the way on the daily chart as well. All right, looking at the GBPUSD forecast. The past week, the banks added 2,815 longs and they got rid of 2,571 shorts. Something significant has happened here. We reacted off of the downward trend line to prove that the trend line was there, and we actually broke above the trend line, which created this weekly demand zone at 1.25. So if we end up pulling back down to the pound to this weekly demand zone at 1.25, I think this is a great area to apply your capital to the long side, just in my opinion. That's what I'm personally going to be doing if we do pull back down to that weekly demand zone. So in the meantime, how can we potentially trade the pound here? Well, if you look at a daily chart, we couldn't quite hit this daily demand zone, but if we do pull back down to this daily demand, I think we continue to look for longs coming off of that daily demand zone like that if we do pull back, but we can pretty much call it in control now. I actually took 2 trades on the pound. If you look, we had these 2 4-hour demand zones right here, 1, 2, and I was looking for longs in both of those zones. If you look at a 1-hour chart here, we had 2 little 1-hour zones embedded inside of the 4-hour zones. We had 1 zone and 2 zones. I placed a trade here, stopped out basically immediately for a loss, and then also price pushed into this zone. I had my order here as well. I did not let this loss phase me at all. I didn't even think for a second about taking this order out, and boom, hit the trade. Price moved pretty far away, did not quite hit my target, but I actually put my stop at break even, and I was stopped out for break even. So just wanted to, all in all, on the pound, minus 1% on the pound, but the USD Japanese yen pair made up for it this week as well. So just wanted to point that out to you guys. 1 loss, 1 break even, not a big deal on the pound. So just want to point that out. And as far as trading the pound goes now, look, we could look for longs, and there's really 2 options here. We could wait for this 4-hour supply to be removed, or we could look for longs in this 4-hour demand down there. But if this 4-hour supply gets removed, leaving us the 4-hour demand here, that would be your potential trade coming off of that demand. And if not, we actually have 1-hour demand zone here. We could see a move off of that 1-hour zone like that. So really, that's all I see in the pound here with that daily demand and zone in control. We want to look for longs, and if we continue to push down and break, then we have weekly demand down below. We could look for longs in as well. And if you are bullish, which I don't really agree with, we have 4-hour supply here. I don't really like it, but we could look for 50-minute day trade shorts off that supply if you are bearish, but day trades only, guys. Cannot stress that enough, because with daily demand and control, with a daily uptrend and weekly momentum up, I think longs are definitely should be favored here. USDCAD forecast. The past week, the banks got rid of 8,576 longs, and they also added 22,000 shorts. Looking at the weekly chart, if you guys have been following me for a while, I've been waiting so patiently for this weekly demand zone. We are finally reacting off of it to the upside, but I'm not just jumping the gun just yet. If you look at a daily chart here, we're kind of just in the middle of supply and demand. So 2 things. We could look for confirmation longs coming off of that daily demand. I think that that's okay. If we break this daily supply here, leaving us with new daily demand, that would be your potential daily demand to look for longs in as well, just like this one. So we're going to have a hard time getting through this daily supply, in my opinion. If you are bearish the USDCAD, which I do not agree with at all, but if you are, really the only way I would even think about shorting is looking for day trades in this daily supply zone at 1.33019. That's pretty much it, and I would look to take profits very, very early. And you guys know on my channel, I like to point out things you guys can do for longs and shorts, because I know not everyone has the right idea. Even though, yes, I totally think longs are favored right now because weekly demand zone is in control, I think longs is the best option. I will also point out things I would do, if I had to take a short trade, it would be at that daily supply, looking for day trade confirmation shorts and nothing else. But as far as longs go, guys, on the USDCAD, so far we are reacting off this 4-hour demand to the upside, and that's great. Not a zone I wanted to trade. I'd rather look at trading this one down below. So I'm personally looking for longs in that demand zone on the USDCAD. That's pretty much all I'm seeing here. Didn't really want to jump the gun and just take this 4-hour demand zone, so gonna wait for the one at the extreme because it's also inside of this daily buying area as well. All right, onto the Aussie US dollar. The past week, the banks, they got rid of 518 longs, and they also got rid of 10,710 shorts. Now, real quick top-down analysis here. You guys know me. I've been pointing out this weekly, monthly demand zone for a while now. This purple zone reacted beautifully off of it. Couldn't quite get an entry there. That's okay. But also, what I pointed out was this daily demand zone here. And I pointed out I was going to look for longs in this daily demand zone. We actually blew right through the zone. Well, we reacted off of it a little bit first. And now we are into the supply that broke this demand. What I'm hoping for, the best case scenario would be something like this, where we pull back off of this supply zone to the downside, and we pull back to this daily demand at 0.65. Because this is the zone at the extreme where we could see a move to the upside. So I will be personally looking for longs in this daily demand. But who knows? Maybe we don't break that demand and something like this takes place. And if that does, any new daily demand here you could use for longs as well. So basically just waiting for either this daily demand to be hit or for new demand to be formed as we break up and break supply. That's what I'm looking for. And as always, if you really want to short, the only thing I would suggest is maybe looking for day trade shorts off of that daily supply. But with the weekly demand and control, guys, it is a little risky. But if you have the idea of, hey, I think we're going to see price pull back to this daily demand and then rally up, if you want to try to catch this downward move here, I think that's fine. If that's what you want to do. So I would just look for potential shorts coming off of that daily supply. But for me, I'm bullish. So I'm just personally waiting for this daily demand zone to be contacted before I just jump the gun and get in long. So that is my analysis on the Aussie US dollar. All right, on to the USDCHF, the USD Swiss franc. The past week, the banks, they got rid of 1,600 longs, and they also got rid of 1,695 shorts. We'll keep this one very simple. If you look here, we had daily supply. This is a supply zone that I pointed out for the diamond members. And remember, guys, what's very important about trading, it's not always about when to trade. Should I buy this zone down here? It's about, should I be buying here? Remember that, guys. So that's why I point out these zones for the members as well. Very important. This is not an area to be getting in long. Look at the reaction. Boom, boom, to the downside. So any longs on lower time frames would have not have worked out. So daily supply and control, we want to potentially be looking for shorts here in the USD Swiss, in my opinion. And really all I see here is these 2 4-hour supply zones above. And that's pretty much all I see on the USD Swiss, guys. Really not a lot. I've been telling the Dime members as well. Not a lot going on in the USD Swiss. So going to continue to go on to oil here. Last but not least, crude oil. The past week, the banks got rid of 2,996 longs, and they also added 25,000 shorts. Remember, guys, weekly demand zones still in control, but I'm just hating oil right now. Just kind of just going sideways here, kind of just wedging out, kind of just blah, 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 blah. Not a lot going on, but demand is in control. I think longs should still be favored here, although both sides seem to have been working and been losing. So it's definitely very confusing. So when both sides seem to be working and there's not a clear direction, what do we do? Well, we simply look for confirmation. If you look at this 4-hour chart, we had 4-hour demand here, and we actually had a 4-hour demand zone at the extreme here. Didn't really want to draw that one because of these wicks, but at the end of the day, move up. Not surprised with the demand zone. It is the origin of this huge move up, and it is the basing here, but very large basing, not a zone I wanted to draw. But anyways, we had a 4-hour demand zone as well here, and I pointed it out to the diamond members in the daily market breakdown. I said we have 4-hour demand here. We could be looking for 15-minute longs, but I didn't say just look for longs in here. I said we need to look for confirmation. And here's a clip of me talking about this 15-minute supply zone here that we needed to see or move for confirmation. We are into this 4-hour demand that we've been waiting for a while now. As far as confirmation goes, we want to just see this supply zone removed here for confirmation. So I'll leave that 15-minute supply zone to be removed there. If we can remove that, that would be the 15-minute confirmation I'd be looking for coming off of that 4-hour demand on oil. So now that you guys have seen that, that shows the importance of looking for confirmation. We don't want to just be getting in long. We want to wait for that confirmation. The problem with oil here is that we've got confirmation so many times, but that's okay. So with that being said, we have new 4-hour demand down here. We could look for potential longs coming off of that zone, or if we break above this supply, that would be confirmation as well. And then we could look for long pullbacks to the upside. So just wanted to show you guys the power of confirmation and the power of not only knowing when to trade and which zones to look at, but also knowing when not to trade. And just a little bit of a bonus for you guys here. I'm going to try to keep it below, above the 1-hour chart, but we have 2 decent little 1 hour demand zones here could be used for day trading confirmation in to the long side on oil. So that was the forecast, guys. I will see you guys in the next one, and here's the outro. I hope you guys found this weekly Forex forecast helpful. If it did, I would really appreciate a like and a subscribe if you are new to the channel. And as always, check out the YouTube and Patreon membership if you want to get my daily chart analysis and much, much more.